Welcome back to DannyBTrainz for episode number 9 of the One Square at a Time challenge. If you are new here, this is a fictional freeform route we've been working on over the last few months based somewhere in rural Appalachia around Tennessee, Kentucky, and similar states based in the spring/summer. We've been working on a smaller metropolitan area with plenty of life. At the center, we have a CSX yard that in this episode begins to take on some more character and depth. In addition to this route, we've also been working on an AI-inspired route based in the Fall Mountains of Montana. Both routes have been a lot of fun so far, and I am enjoying the progress that we have made in each one. I know a lot of people ask in the comment section, will you release your routes? And the answer simply is yes, I would like to, but you need patience, as these routes are not close to being ready to release yet. If and when I feel they are ready to have a release, we'll come up with a game plan to make that happen. But for now, if you are new to DannyBTrainz, then please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and be sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoy content like this from Trainz 22. Doing so lets the algorithm know that more people want to see this type of content. So with that being said, in this square, we are going to be extending out the yard and we'll be working more on the surrounding communities on each side of the yard. Now, some of the changes we make in this one, it really begins to help make this route's eventual flow start to become a little bit more clear. So let's get straight into Trainz 22 and get this section finished.
tunes and homemade booze, but it always goes too far. Shooting pool, crack a jack, take off now and don't look back. But hey, don't you wanna play? Hold on, sugar, why you look so sad? Come on now, mama, ain't nothing here so bad. You got fast cars, movie stars, party on down the street with Mary Jane, good cocaine, plenty down there to eat. You can double down, throw some dice, you can take off now, don't think twice. But hey, don't you wanna play? Baby, come on. Tell me where you wanna go. But baby, I don't work down there anymore. No, I don't. Getting late. Come on now, mama, don't you hesitate. Grab my hand, well we land. I got the champagne. We can knock it back, get on track, jump on and ride this thing. Double down, roll the dice, take off now, don't think twice. Hey, don't you wanna play? Say hey.
just a place for you and me. Yeah, this is where we wanna be. In Tennessee, in Tennessee, in Tennessee, yeah. Where hummingbirds are flying in the sky, dreams are coming true. A magic place where you can count the stars. Just lay down in the middle of the night, look out to the sky. Hummingbirds are flying in the sky, dreams are coming, coming true. A magic place where you can count the stars. Just lay down in the middle of the night, look out to the sky. The Tennessee skyline. Oh. to get out of my town. Dolled up and playing at a show in the city. Lights out and I can hardly see what's in front of me. Double took and shook when you walked in the bar. I was speechless. Woozy stomach never felt so weak. Oh, but before you dared to speak, I said, won't you get out of my town? You know I'm not your puzzle piece. You're just another face in the crowd, trying to get a rise out of me. You made your choice, I guess that's fine, but I'm done letting you haunt my mind. I'm stepping off your merry-go-round, and it's time for you to get out of my town. I've had enough of your crowd, and I'm not going back to whatever I thought we were before. You showed your true colors, so I showed you the door. And I said, won't you get out of my town? You know I'm not your puzzle piece. You're just another face in the crowd, trying to get a rise out of me. You made your choice, I guess that's fine, but I'm done letting you haunt my mind. I'm stepping off your merry-go-round, and it's time for you to get out of my town. Get out of my town. You're no longer welcome to my town.
And that'll do it for this one. I really like the way this one ended up. It may not be really prototypical, but I really enjoy the progress we've been able to make. We've got some surrounding suburbs developed more, we've got some family-oriented activities such as Little League baseball parks along with an attached football field and drive-in movie theater along with another church. I still think we have much more work to be done with this yard. Most yards are going to be a lot bigger than what we have developed so far, but with a little bit more work, we should be headed in the right direction in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, and again, if this is your first time here and you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and be sure to subscribe to DannyBTrainz so that we see you here next time for the next build video. Thanks for stopping by, and as I always say, I hope you have a great day. Bye guys.